the same operation, the same procedure that they had told him or her that needed to wait for some people as long as 3 months. 3 months. So now, this was earlier in the year. This is November. Some of you have been to the hospital recently. I would like to ask you, right? Take about 3 minutes to think about this, right? Honestly speaking, from wherever you are listening to us from, do you think that the average waiting time in Nigerian hospitals has reduced? Do you think it has reduced? When we are good, right? I'd like to get to hear from you. Do you think the average waiting time minutes to pass clock. Let's open the have you joined in the have you been hospital facilities? Do you think that's when they'll tell you come to the hospital at 6 o'clock to see the doctor at 2? Do you think they are gone or are they still persistent? On average, ladies and gentlemen, how long do you think you wait to get medical attention? My name is Jude. Let us have a conversation.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
017-923-0002, 017-923-0003, 017-923-0002, 0817923-0003. At Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X, at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. A WhatsApp and Telegram number is 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. As always, please do well, turn down the volume of your radio set. Refrain from making derogatory or defamatory comments. Didn't see or hear, we encourage you not to make mention of it. And very importantly, keep your conversations civil. So we'll start out with the phone lines as we have David on the line from Yenegua. David, good morning to you, please.
Greetings once again, my brother Manjud Omamigwe.
Welcome, please.
My name is David West.
Welcome.
From the city of Yenegua. Yes, Mr. Jude.
Yes, please.
I want to give you a very practical example of the waiting hours. My brother, it has not reduced.
You sure?
It's still, yes. If you are doubting me or you want to get a practical review of it, after your work, just take a stroll to the neuropsychiatric hospital, Rumibu. And see how it is. You wait for hours upon hours upon hours before you see the doctor. And for me, I think these are as a result of when you have very few, maybe 3 or 2 doctors
attending, yes,
waiting to attend to people that are more than their capacity. The waiting hours will be long. But in a situation whereby maybe they have 5 or 6 of them, as you come, there's a doctor already waiting to attend to you. As this person is leaving, the next person, I think it will even reduce the fatigue of these 2 or 3 persons that are sitting to listen to people.
I agree with you, David. But if you look at what the government was saying, this was earlier in the year, in May of this year, and like I told you, that some of my friends who are in the in the UK, also confirmed that yes, sometimes because of the waiting hours over there, it's not longer than the ones that people are back to Nigeria to do their surgeries, to do their small surgeries. Doesn't that mean that maybe we have improved slightly?
Well, if it is that, I wouldn't dispute the fact that it is not happening. For me, if such happens, look at it. It is definitely going to be or take place in a very exclusive private hospital. So to say.
Okay.
Now, in the private hospitals, it's not as if there are no waiting hours. Of a truth, there are some private hospitals you just walk to. Definitely, you must sit down. They must ask you 1 or 2 questions. Look for your card and what have you. In all that time, you are waiting. But for some, you can just go in. They just punch the computer and they get you all your medical history. And already you are going in to see the doctor. In a space of 5-10 minutes, you have discussed with the doctor. You are out. So in private hospitals like that, it is there. Even there too, we still have some waiting hours. Is it not in private hospitals, patients of emergency die in the course of waiting? So we need to, improve upon our health system here. The waiting hours is something disturbing. You even get tired. You that came with sickness, you are, being added another burden again.
All right.
The truth, my brother, man, it has not improved.
All right, David.
So they are coming from London. They are coming to wait to let them know.
But that's it. They already complained that the waiting hours. I don't know if you heard me.
So as they are coming, they should also not complain here because the waiting hour will be longer. And here we don't have AC in the waiting room. Yeah,
but at least we will not tell them to wait for 3 weeks for surgery. Right. So that's where it is. That's where maybe this fine line is at the moment. All right. WhatsApp 0809-030-6416, Jude, I don't think the waiting time has reduced though. Maybe because people now have more distractions, i.e. their smartphones, they think they can cope. I was at a hospital recently. I got there as early as 7 a.m. in the morning. I didn't get to see a doctor until noon of that day. So that means everything concerning my business was put on hold. The only thing I know for sure is that if you go to a big hospital with an emergency, you are likely to get some treatment. Aha! Speaking of emergency, now I have to say this as well. Over in the UK, if you have an emergency, say an accident or something, and they rush, obviously you are going to be treated immediately. All right, they come through. If there's a waiting list, obviously it's not going to be like you wait for 10 hours before you pass on or whatever, but that's the case. But if you're coming through for a checkup, or you're trying to have something diagnosed or something you're not certain of, that's where the problem is. Kurt is in Uniport. Kurt, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jude.
Good morning.
Jude, I would prefer the picture is painted in UK than the ones happening here.
How so?
Sometimes you go to hospital here. Upon the waited, you will not succeed to see doctor that day. You go back, the same thing happened again. He's not meet the doctor. He's not able to tell me that, okay, come in 2 weeks' time. Hence, is not illness of life-threatening. Then when I come in 2 weeks' time, I'll be able to see the doctor. I will prefer it that way. Then go in the morning, wait at the end, do not succeed. So I will prefer tell me to come in 3 months' time, and the illness is not emergency, and they will not do me any harm until that time I call, and I go, I see the doctor, and I walk away. I think that could have better if you have to Nigeria.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okonkwo is on the line. Okonkwo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bro Jude.
Good morning, please.
How are you?
Very well, thank you, please.
Okay. Yes, the issue of a delay in the hospital. It has not changed.
Oh.
That should be 2 months ago. I was in one of the government hospitals in Rivers State here.
Okay.
For a health matter. I waited with the people that I went with. Waited for hours. Every person became tired. But we decided to say, let's wait and see what would happen. So it has not changed. It's even deteriorating, getting worse. But the issue is that in this very particular environment, there is no environmental way to make changes or to change from our professional conduct. But what will we do? Finally, your reference that people come from the UK for surgery here, it is not true. Yes, it is not true. If you think that it's true any day, that any person come from UK for surgery here, write the date and bring it in this platform and air it.
I will do so.
People cannot just come and fabricate a news. And why do our rich men and politicians go outside?
Okay, well, let's go on a break. Let's go on a break, please.
Stay with us. Nigeria Info.
to the headline news. I like to read your messages on our subject matter. All right, so the last class says, so he doesn't believe that people are leaving America, UK, and wherever to come. Oh, India was mentioned, by the way. India was mentioned. Yeah, to come over to Nigeria to carry out their medical surgeries. Now, I would not blame anybody for being skeptical about that report, because over the years, Nigerians have had reasons to not exactly believe, to put or to find holes in the reports from governments. Now, but I can't state this. It's a plausibility. Listen to this, because like I said, my friend told me that it's not like they're coming to do open heart surgery, even though I know that we have some great cardiovascular surgeons now in Nigeria who are doing great things and saving people's lives. But they said that, for some minor, procedures that they know will not take too long, and they're not like the risk involved is not particularly high. For example, the one they told me about was the man who came over, right, and decided to have his tooth done, scaled, polished, and then have a root canal. I think he also had an extraction that had to be done. Over there, his dental appointment was to come through in about 2 or 3 months. But he had an engagement to do in Nigeria. And so when he got to Nigeria, when he got to Lagos, I need a good dentist. Can anybody refer? They referred him, and the day he went, he just came. Dentist, to see my problem. Okay, we can do this. Can we do it now? They did it for him there and then. They did it for him. He paid. He left. So I wouldn't say the things they are so bad now that people now look at the cost. Okay, it costs maybe £200 or £300 or £1,000, and let's just come to Nigeria and do the surgery. I don't know if we have gotten there yet. I know what we are used to here is the medical tourism, which is when people have serious complications, they leave Nigeria and they go abroad to have the operation. So maybe that's the fine line we need to determine. Headline news coming up next.
Headline news. Nigeriainfo on
92.3.
Headline news.
Headline news, 92.3 Nigeriainfo. Army arrest oil thieves, destroys illegal refineries in Rivers. Others. Police kill suspected kidnapper in Rivers State. APC crisis deepens in Rivers State over controversial Congress. INEC, PDP disagree over alleged fraud in Ondo poll. State governors to deny re-election tickets to lawmakers over tax reform support. In business, Northern Group criticizes support for tax reform, calls for protest. In entertainment, social media reacts as singer Wizkid's Dance disappears from Apple Music Top 100. In sports, Marseille midfielder Rabiot double seals top spot for France. And on the foreign scene, Russia responds to use of US missiles inside Russia. Details in the 12 noon bulletin. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0808 721 7215. 0808 721 7215. My name is Jude Omamigbe. Thank you for listening and good morning.
With ideas for sustainable development.
92.3 Nigeriainfo serves you opportunities
to ask great questions,
contribute solutions,
and transform society for the better.
I'm listening. Are you?
So you're at the hospital. There's always going to be a waiting line. Well, particularly if you're going to a very publicly funded government hospital. For example, the big tertiary hospitals that we have here in Port Harcourt and the other smaller federal medical centers that dot the regions, right? So primary health care centers and stuff like that. You get to those spaces, you should expect a waiting line. Oh, by the way, let me encourage the pregnant ladies, pregnant women, our sisters and mothers around to please do go for your antenatal care. I do know across the local government areas in River State that there are primary healthcare centers, for that particular need of yours. I know there's one in Ozoba. I think there's one also in Choba. Ogbunabale, I think, has one, if I'm not mistaken. So please just ask around and please take our mothers and our sisters and our daughters to these places, to this center, so they can receive medical attention. Now, having said that, when you do get to those places, you will find a queue because obviously you're not the first there, and you most likely won't be the last. And so the time it takes for you to have your vitals taken and then get to see a doctor, that's if it's not an emergency, is the bone of contention this morning. What would you say is the average time you spend before you get to see a doctor? Maybe at your local hospital, maybe at a private ward, because yes, even at private institutions, at private centers, you might experience a bit of a queue, right? Depending on the expenses. Well, obviously, the more expensive the hospital, the less likely you will to have a long waiting line. But let's find out from you, because some people are skeptical. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that we heard someone say, no, it doesn't believe that people will leave the UK, the US, and come to Nigeria to have their surgeries. Now, once again, like I said just before the break, it might not be that it's those very complicated type surgery. Maybe could, I'm not saying, but they could be taking advantage of a visit to Nigeria and have those procedures done, owing to the fact that many now say that you are more likely to get some procedures done quicker here in Nigeria than you would if you were in the UK in particular. Well, let's not dwell so much on what Judah said. Let's find out from you if you think so. And more importantly, we're assessing our health pulse. Yeah, basically. How long do you wait before you get to see a doctor these days?
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
Port Harcourt with Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On WhatsApp, 009-030-6416, 009-030-6416. All right. Now, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook. And Any Emmanuel on Facebook says, even the private hospitals have imitated the act from the public ones. Imagine one doctor attending to 1,000 patients. Emmanuel says that I will answer this question when I'm back from UPTH. Just to see a doctor is like waiting for Christ. Interesting. All right, WhatsApp now, 009-030-641. Since I get to the phone lines shortly, please. 009-030-6416. All right, that's where you find us on WhatsApp and on Telegram. Please, the last number I just reeled out is for reception of messages alone. Please don't call that number. All right, you haven't been advised to. Now, Jude, the matter of waiting in health facilities is even worse in the US. It took my younger brother, a US citizen, 5 months to replace his nephrostomy tubes, which is supposed to be every 3 months. Jude, the waiting period in Nigeria is much better than in the UK and in the US. Darlington from Okrika. Those who are complaining about long waiting periods in Nigeria should travel and see. 5 months, you said. 5 months for a procedure. You had to wait for 5 months to have tubes replaced instead of 3 months. Okay, all right. Things are happening, obviously. Okay. This one says, this is a long message. Said Dr. Richard said that people come to Nigeria for surgeries because, one, for removal of fibroid, many patients come to Nigeria for this surgery procedure because there is a condition affecting Africans and Caucasians. Doctors don't know how to effect it. Okay. Two, they cannot stand the long waiting time for medical treatments and appointments. So medical treatments are cheaper in Nigeria. All right. Interesting. Ereguba, I see with that comment. All right. So once again, I've learned something new. Some of this, and I don't think this person is far from the truth, because during the, was it just after the pandemic, right? When there was a stark rise in cosmetic surgeries, particularly the BBL, the Brazilian butt lift, right? I remember reading somewhere where, let's say, I can't remember the exact figures, but the point I'm trying to make is, in the US, to carry out that particular procedure, that cosmetic procedure, let's say it would cost you $2,000, right, in the US. But if you were to stroll down to Mexico, right, just down the border, you'll be able to do that same procedure, and maybe to a large extent with the same quality done, for just about $700. So you found that a lot of Americans were leaving the shores of America, right, and they were going down, to New Mexico City, to Guadalajara. Where else were they going to? Some of the Mexican cities, some of the big hospitals there, to carry out these procedures. New Mexico, they were literally abandoning where they thought was safe. In fact, not even where some people were crossing. Some Americans were crossing over to Canada. Yes, the American had. How do you wait to get to see it? Was the last time the hospital? Was you to do 4 hours? And how do you wait to get to see it? Was the last time the hospital? Was you to do 4 hours? And I know 0803 or at Nigeriainfo PH where you find us on. All right, so on WhatsApp, let's quickly read these comments. It says, hi, Jude, good morning. I do believe that the waiting times abroad are bad, but I don't think they are bad as the ones here in Nigeria. Jude, some people who get to the hospital sometimes 3-4 days, they haven't even seen the doctor, not to talk about scheduling them for whatever operation or surgeries that they need to have. I know the system is most likely better. After all, that's what they've been telling us for years. But are people coming back? Jude, I don't believe. I don't believe. All right, that's Frank. Frank says he doesn't believe. With the O, let's not forget, he doesn't believe. Yeah, he doesn't believe. It does. Why would anybody come to Nigeria? But once again, people are. I need to say this again. People are. And it's not to discredit the UK health scheme, the NHS. That's not what I'm trying to do here. That's not the basis of this conversation. But because of the waiting times, like I said, you've had people who have said that on their trip to Nigeria or maybe to Ghana. I don't know if it's happening in Ghana as well. On their trip back home, they would take advantage and carry out 1 or 2 surgeries. I know of dental appointments that are done here the very same day. Someone is calling our WhatsApp number. Your number ends with, is it 781 or 7? Yeah, 718. Please, you're calling the wrong number. If you want to call and talk to us, 0817 923 0002. 0817 923 0007. Once again, 0817 923 0002. 0817 923 0003. So how exactly are things happening in this world that people actually will want to come back to Nigeria to do surgery? Jude, are these things real, or is the government whining us? No, it's real. It's real. Let me say that again. It's real. It's not something that I can understand the skepticism. Don't get me wrong, but it is real. But it may not be happening to the scale that maybe the report from May have presented it. You know how we have our politicians, the very fortunate or the very rich, depending on what divide you pick them on from, right? Would travel, will send their children to people in Nigeria. Like some sent tea. It's about 2 hours. It wasn't so bad. It's about 2 hours. It wasn't so bad. But are you really serious that people are coming back to Nigeria of all places, to do surgery? Once again, Emmanuel, I don't know why you find it. We have some really amazing doctors. I know you know this, but I think there's this idea that for the amazing doctors here, they only thrive when they are outside the shows, or when they are outside the shows, or when they've left the shows. And I don't think so. If you know any doctor or any doctor temporaries have, they're able to be creative, they're able to be ingenious with their treatment protocols in those spaces. By 2.3. Hello, Potako. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jude.
Yes, go on, please.
How are you?
Very well, please. Good morning.
Yeah, this is Samuel on the line.
Welcome, Samuel.
Yeah, this belong. So, concerning the issue on ground, the hospitals in Nigeria are trying, and our doctors are trying so much. I've been to one hospital about 6 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I had an accident.
Oh, dear.
Immediately I got to the hospital. It was a general hospital. That is a stage hospital or was that in other place. So when I got to that hospital, I was giving attention immediately. There were so many people there.
Okay.
I was no card, nothing. It was later that they begin to process my card and every other thing. So I was giving attention immediately. I was very, very happy. And when you get to some hospitals, you see that the doctors, there are many people, and doctors are very busy. Sometimes they take time to ask patients. One patient will go there and stay like 1 hour. Not that the doctor is not doing anything. You want to find out exactly what is happening to them. He cool down to ask you to write down these things. Sometimes they will be attending to somebody. The nurses will come. Somebody maybe in the ward, there is a problem. They will go out, leave you there, later come back to attend to you. So we are trying. The aspect of people coming back from the UK, is it not our doctors that are running away from here to UK to go and work there? They believe that people from the UK believe that our doctors are very, very competent. So sometimes they come back there to make sure they take their treatment in Nigeria. It is not wrong. If somebody shows it, it is right. I believe they are doing so.
Okay, all right.
I hope you are hearing me.
Oh, loud and clear.
So Nigerian doctors, if we say we stay so much in the waiting for doctors, the one that is not good is that somebody will say, I stay so long for the whole day, I did not see doctor. The next day, I don't believe that because
but it happens that it happens in those big hospitals.
They attend to all the patients that are around for the day. Not that they. So I don't. It happens to some hospitals, but not to all the hospitals.
True.
I have been to so many hospitals where doctors stay even up to close to 6 o'clock in the evening to make sure that everybody is attended. So I think we are trying, and if there are areas to need the improvement, we have to do so. But at least for now, the doctors are trying. I think I have to.
All right. It says, well, he thinks our doctors are trying. Waiting time is not so bad. But yes, I know of people, I've met people at the hospital who who have waited sometimes a day plus for medical attention. Maybe they have scans they need to do. There's a waiting line. Sometimes it's women with babies. It happens, sir. It really does happen. I wouldn't disavow anybody who claims they've waited for a whole day. They waited till like 4-5 p.m. of that day. The nurse said, doctor either did not show up, or the doctor had too many people who were already scheduled to see him. They had appointments. His hands are tied. And don't forget, he's still a human being. Still one human being. You have to return the following day. Lukman Lasisi on Facebook. Facebook is at Nigeriainfo.ph, at Nigeriainfo.ph. Lukman Lasisi says, waiting time always happens in public hospitals, not private, because your money is speaking. They can go as far as hiring specialists for you, right? In those places. I was talking about the private spaces, but that's the same thing. Remember I said, if you were in the UK, you get to the doctor. If you go through your NHS, that's your National Health Service, the general practitioner, what we call the GP, will sit you down. Okay, Jude, what's your problem? All right, he takes note down. I think it's this. We can do this and maybe to help. But if your problem is very specific and maybe a little complex, and the GP ought to tell you, okay, I don't know a lot about this. I will refer you to a specialist. You see, is that referral? That's where the problem is. Because just the same way you have an issue regarding needing specialist treatment, you not have that same doctor who's going to see maybe 200 or 30 people, whatever. It just depends on the issue. Well, whether you believe that people are coming back or not, the point here is it can happen. And from what I've gathered, it did happen. But I cannot tell you in all honesty and in good faith that it has happened in a wide scale, like the way it was probably painted when that report came through a few months ago. But it is happening. And to those doctors, to those healthcare workers who are still meeting your needs and your requirements despite all the challenges, I say big thank you. My name is Jude. Good morning. News comes up your way in 5 minutes.